welcome back. Taking a little time here while we unloading here at the plant. Sorry about the glare. I'm getting some on the phone. I'm facing east. Was asked a question by a viewer about why the supply chain is kind of funky and why I think that is, since I am in the transportation business. And I've talked to a lot of people and seen some things and heard everything's about, well, since the little thing started last year, 600,000 people have died. That's actually more than that now. That's whatever going on from there. We'll get to that in a minute. But this comes to, let me see, how can I say this? My opinion only, and a lot of people can sit there and say it is a conspiracy theory. Now, before we get too far down into there, let's remember that that is a term coined by the Apple back in the 70s to get everybody steered away from what was actually going on. And it's very well known if you do your research. So here's the deal. When all this started, they sent everybody home, said, here's what you got to do, even though it is coming out slowly but surely that mask isn't going to stop it. The hokey pokey wokey injection thingy ain't going to stop it. Now there's all these different variants, and I actually got a list sent to me the other day that has variants with dates, when they release, and into the 2023 mark for that, because I believe this is all done by design of certain types of human, whatever you want to call it, to part of NWO. So let's get into it a little bit. So, alright, first things you need to do for that to happen, you need to have a pandemic, you need to have financial crisis, and you need to have economic collapse. Or major, like World War III kind of deal go on. Alright, so here's what we do. We go in, we send everybody home, we shut down all manufacturing. No raw materials are being moved right now, none. And like for instance in the ammunition world, there's no brass is hard to come by, primers are hard to come by. They're only allowing one box of powder to come in, and that's usually from Australia. By the way, let's see, Australia says, hey, welcome to the New World Order. It's never going back. He released that like last week or so ago. So things are going from there. Just got an update from a customer that I deal with that they're saying they're finally getting caught up, ramped in. Another thing is talk to the tire, because we got to have tires, and a big distributor in the area told me that, forgive me, they shut down the Uniroll line, so if you're going to be looking for Uniroll tires, that's not going to be happening, so they can catch up some of these other major brands. Because right now there's a 6-month backlog on all that. Alright, so if you send everybody home and you quit shipping stuff, and then quote unquote farmers are claiming to be paid to destroy their crops, either aging on or mowing them or something, or if they harvest them they're going to get fined. That is done by design of people in higher pay grades than I have to create an economic collapse, and it's going to increase inflation because price and demand. The less of something, more people demand it, goes up. Alright, so now they come out and say, hey, if you get the pokey, hey, let's give you $100. So, let me see, every port that I've heard of is working at 25% or less. They're claiming to have a driver shortage, and that's why, okay, there's not a driver shortage. Well, let me, hang on. There's a driver shortage. There's plenty of steering wheel holders. Anything to do with metal right now. I had to order a clamp for an exhaust 2 weeks. I was told if it has to do with metal, forget it. Okay? Because nothing's being made. And right now there's help wanted signs all over the country. And I could throw a rock right now and hit probably 100 places it's hiring. I got in a debate with this over somebody else. He says, there's been over 600,000 people died. The workforce is dying off. So I got curious. So I started looking up the CDC website. And if you go there and you look at age groups by deaths of COVID-19, actually in the workforce, there's only been about 115,000 deaths. Everybody else has been like 65 and older. Oh, but the people's not supposed to know that. You have to do your research. So I doubt that 500,000 people 65 and older is supporting the workforce of this country. I know a lot of people work in their older years, and I'm not taking that from them, but 500,000 people out of plants and manufacturing, yeah, I don't see the 70-year-olds, the 65-year-olds out there pouring the steel and rolling the no. Okay, little common sense here. Not saying there aren't some doing that or weren't some doing that. It's just not the major part of it. Okay. But what they're going to sit there and say is, hey, we've lost 600,000 people in this country due to it. All right, fine. Another funny thing is VAERS, V-E-A-R-S. It's a website you can go check to see how many deaths have been due to, directly related to the hokey pokey. And that's like 12,000. And now they're trying to fact check themselves, but this has been related from doctors to this, to the CDC. So it's funny when they start fact checking themselves. That's kind of a weird thing. I personally am not going to get to whatever you want to call it. I believe in there's a plan, somebody's in charge. A lot of this has been prophesied over, and it's going to come to pass. Now you either prepare for whatever's to come, or you're going to accept your fate. Another thing that's been taught, that not taught but showed out there that people don't understand, is the Department of Justice is actually going against a law, a Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, that's saying anything under emergency use authorization cannot be mandated. It's an actual law that was passed, signed in. They can't mandate this thing. Department of Justice says, oh yes, it can be mandated. So Biden comes out and says, okay, all federal employees, and they're saying, all right, it's not mandated, you have a choice. You can keep your job as long as you get it, or you have to quit. They've got a point, you've got a choice. So how comfortable are you going to be with being uncomfortable? Are you willing to walk away from your job? Okay. How many truck drivers are really going to sit there and say, well, I'm not driving if they... Okay. How many healthcare workers are going to walk away because they ain't? Okay. And it's not that we're anti-vax. I am fully vaccinated, 100%. I'm not being a test subject. This is still in phase 3 clinical trials. It's out there to be found. All you have to do is go read. Quit believing everything you hear in the news. Got another interesting report that I got to look up and read. It's got a long ass number about this long going on it. There's that. So I hope people have been learning how to do stuff like grow vegetables and stuff, because I think we're in it this way. All the stuff that quote unquote Trump and everybody out there with Q and all this other craziness is going on. You know, if something don't happen there, yeah, it's going to be up to you, and I think it's going to be up to the people at this point in time. You got to be really careful on what you say, because it all begins with censorship, because we don't agree with what they're saying. And if their message was 100% proven, why would they be censoring everybody to say we're full of whatever? I see the Nazi playbook coming strictly out, forced in hand in hand, and I hate to use that terminology, but I think people better be ready for the shitstorm that is going to come upon us, because if the DOJ says that it can be mandated, it's just a matter of time before they sit there and say, oh, well, the executive branch can make laws and there's no separation of powers in our government. And then it's no longer a republic, because we're not a democracy, we're a republic. Okay? It goes into tyranny. So, hopefully I can get a little bit more detail in this further on. Like I said, quick little deal while I was unloading here. Again, love y'all. Thanks for asking the questions and being informed. Don't expect things to get any better anytime soon. Please like, share, subscribe. Appreciate you.